Brigadier KD sir, you can switch on your cameras. You can switch on your camera.
Okay, right.
All right, all right. Sir, may I have your permission to start?
Please.
Okay, thank you, sir. It was character that got us out of bed, commitment that moved us into action, and discipline that enabled us to follow through. These are the words of Zig Ziglar. And character, commitment, action, and discipline, these kind of personality and skill traits are learned when we live under the guidance of great officers. And such great officers we have with us today. We have Brigadier KD Singh or Brigadier Kanwar Dalbir Singh today with us, who is the main speaker of day 2 of our workshop, Pratham Pag, First Step Towards Progress. This workshop has been organized by Youth Empowerment Foundation, and as a representative of YEF, Youth Empowerment Foundation, I, Sanidhya Sharma, feel immense honor and pleasure to welcome you all in this national workshop where we have the youth of the most eminent institutions of India from Delhi University, JNU, and from other colleges, and also from Guru Nanak Dev University. Now, I would like all of you, I would like to introduce Brigadier KD sir to all of you. Brigadier KD sir is a 1974 Indian Army officer. Brigadier KD sir is a 1974 commissioned Indian Army officer in Corps of Signals. He has done his BTech in Telecom and also MBA. He has served Indian Army for 36 years. He has served in Jammu and Kashmir and counter-insurgency areas for 8 years in Nagaland. He has commanded the unit in Kashmir Valley during the Kargil War from 1997 to 2000. Sir, as a brigadier, KD Singh is a well qualified on various courses. And as a colonel, he has commanded an operational communication unit in J&K from 1997 to 2000 in Operation Vijay in Kargil War. As a brigadier, sir, you were the chief signal officer of a corps in Nagaland. Later, you were a commander faculty of combat telecommunication at Military College of Telecommunication, Mhow. Sir, you also have a very unique experience and exposure of SSR at 34 SSB Allahabad and as well as Selection Central East Allahabad from 1993 to 1996. Sir, you have also an experience of call-up officer and as a senior psychologist in SSB Bhopal. So you have great knowledge of SSB and the induction of officers into the Indian Defence Forces. Sir, you have also been my personal mentor and a senior psychologist at Maharaja Ranjit Singh Armed Forces Preparatory Institute, Mohali from 2013 to 2019. And sir, you have sent more than 191 officers to cadets to NDA and various allied academies like IMA, ODA, and various other academies. So now, after being from AFPI, you are now working with My Bhago Armed Forces Preparatory Institute as a head psychologist, and you are also nominated. I feel immense honor to let a public audience know that you are also nominated by the Punjab Chief Minister as a Chief Project Officers to head AFPI coming at Hoshiarpur. Sir, your qualifications is a very long list, and I am very small to explain your qualifications to our audience. So now I request our main chief guest, Brigadier KD Singh, to say a few words before we can start with the actual workshop. So,
thank you very much, Sanidhya. The president of the Youth Empowerment Foundation, the illustrious and honorable members of this NGO, the budding youth of this country, and also the students of various universities who are today listening in. I welcome you all and to this second day session of the Pratham Pag, which they call. That means it has just started, and we are on the second day of this workshop. And I'm sure that this workshop will immensely profit you into your career so that you improve yourself and get into bright careers. To start with, at the onset, I would like to say that yesterday we had day 1 of this workshop. And as you all, those who attended, they will bear me out. Colonel Sudhir Behel, He gave a insight and exposure to you basically on the aspects of personality and the skill development. He also covered three very important issues. I would like to again reiterate them. These were, he talked about the education that we all of us are, endeavoring to attain a very high education. We are all doing BTechs, BAs, B-commerce, M-commerce, and MBAs. Then there is a education and there is a career. So he explained very well yesterday, and it was a very invigorating talk. He explained that though we are after degrees, we are only trying to, ठप्पा लगाते हैं कि डिग्री मिल गई है, MBA की मिल गई है, but we also then side by side think that probably commensurating to it, I will get a career of that nature. That means we look for a very high career, we look for a very high package, not understanding that this degree will not fetch you a job which is maybe of very high nature, maybe of a very high package. So what it entails, how and why I should get a very good package, that means I should be able to apply what I have learned. I should be able to realistically see that if I can use that knowledge, into my day-to-day life. That is one thing which he explained very well, and I hope it has all of you understood that. Second thing which he explained very, very nicely was that there's a student expectation, okay, and versus the expectation of the corporate, okay, or the industries. Okay, now you feel your expectation is that, yes, I will get a very good job. Okay, but the industries, what do they want? They want competence. Okay, they want competence. They want you, whatever knowledge you have gained as BTechs or MTechs, or maybe as PhDs, you should be able to apply yourself and be useful to that organization. How you can be useful to that organization. So this point he explained very well. And third point which he was trying to explain was the soft skills. Okay, the soft skills which are very important. He has covered those soft skills yesterday. So today I will be, as you all know, all of us, we are trying to carve out a very, very, bright career for ourselves. Okay, and in making that career, we have to, we can only get that career if we understand what exactly is required of me. That means I would be required to undergo, maybe if I am, you may be aspiring for jobs in the armed forces. You may be aspiring for a job in corporate. Okay, you may be aspiring a job even in civil services or state services. Okay, and likewise. So, but for every type of job, there are different parameters which are required. One parameter which is common to all, which you will be you have to undergo, is a interview. There would be panel interviews, there would be face-to-face interviews, there would be job interviews. So all these are going to take place, and it is you, how you have to present yourself. That means what type of personality you have to present yourself with. And today we will mostly give you insight on how these we are talking about the skills, the soft skills, and we are talking about skill development. So how do you really develop the skill, okay, which will go towards your personality? That is what is very important. Just by knowing what are the skills is not important, but it is now important to see as to how you will sharpen your skills here. Okay, here I will also like to tell you a small story which will show you that how the skills are very important. You all must have heard about the famous story which is there about a lumberjack or a lakkadhara. Sinidhya knows this will in AFPI we have taught them
Yes,
this.
yes.
So what happened here? There was a lumberjack, or you can say Lakkadhara, who was wanting to make a lot of money. So he went to a contractor and said, "Ke, well, I will cut your trees, and what will you give me?" So he said, "Okay, every tree you cut, you will get 100 rupees." Okay. So he brought his tools, okay, and he started working on it. And with the axe, he worked very hard throughout the day, and he managed to cut 10 trees. So he had told him that every tree you cut, you get 100 rupees. So he got 1000 rupees. He was very happy. Next day, he again went to that contractor. He said, "Sir, today I'll work very hard. I will cut at least 14 to 15 trees." So he says, "Okay, the condition is the same. You will get more money if you cut more." So the lumberjack started cutting the trees. And what happened? After working very hard, he did not even rest. He cut only 8 trees. So he was very surprised with himself. He said, "I worked, I sweated throughout the day, and yet I have not been able to cut more than 8 trees." So he felt very bad. He was thinking about it. The next day again he went, and he was totally determined today, okay, I will not even take a lunch break or any break, and I will continuously work. So he worked continuously, and you know how many trees he cut? Only 6. So what went wrong? What went wrong was his axe was not sharpened. It became more and more blunt every day after cutting the trees. So he did not sharpen his tools. That is why we should take a cue from this and understand that if we do not sharpen our skills or hone our skills, what will happen? We will not be able to achieve the optimum results. Yeah. So we will not be able to achieve the optimum results. So this is very important that we now start sharpening up our skills, and we develop our personality into a desired personality and a balanced personality, so that whenever we go, whenever we are being gauged, or whenever I am being assessed by anybody, let that person understand that yes, he is a man or woman of substance, and she has worked very hard. She has made an endeavor, or okay, to improve herself in every field. That means there are so many fields, there are so many soft skills which we have to develop, and we will just see these skills, and you will be able to understand it in a much better perspective. Now I'll present you a small little, I'll give you a presentation which will make you understand these things. Just wait a second. Just a minute. Can everybody see this?
Yes, sir. Is it visible? It is visible.
Okay. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I proceed. First of all, this is a beautiful picture which is of as you all know, in Mao, which is also called military headquarters of war.
Yes, sir.
We have our, this is our, Makkah and Medina. This is a training area of War College, Infantry School, Military College of Telecom Engineering. This is what it depicts, all the three here. Now I told you, like, we will be covering this aspect in the following manner. First of all, we'll cover the personality and skill development. We'll see what it really means. You see, when we talk about personality, we generally see the persona of a person as we look at him, right? We only see at his, we see at his how good he is to look at, how handsome he is, what is his build. He's tall, smart, weight is good, his posture is good. So we say he's a very smart guy. Okay, we say his personality is very good, without going into the details of his intrinsic, or his what is he internally made of. We don't know. So see, when we talk about personality, it is the overt and the covert qualities, right? It is the overt and the covert qualities. Overt qualities means the qualities which are being seen by you overtly. That means outwardly, right? So you have seen that a person, so overt qualities includes body language and other things that we'll come to later. But what are the covert qualities here? Covert qualities are his, you see, you don't know how the person is intellectually, what is his intellectual ability. Okay, is he intelligent or is he a dud? Okay, and all such qualities which are intrinsic to him, right? They come under the covert qualities. Okay, and also the covert qualities are his traits. Okay, that means his characteristics, his attributes. Okay, his temperament. He may be a person of very short-tempered person, or he may be a very cool, quiet, calm, composed person, right? So all these together, all his psychological aspects also covered, right? What he is made of, that all is covered in the your covert qualities. So overt and the covert qualities, we'll be seeing the definitions also separately, but just for you to understand that this is personality, it encompasses your, to, you know, as we can remember, we should all remember this definition. It's not a definition, it's very easy to remember. It's a sum total of a person's overt and covert qualities, if you remember this much. And also his, you know, behavior, that means, like I said, his traits, his attributes, okay, his temperament, and his psychosystems completely. All this carries out the overt and the covert qualities and the personality in general. Now we'll also see another definition which you will be seeing later. The actual definition says that it's a dynamic organization within an individual of the psychosystems that determine his unique adjustment to environment. Now, what are the psychosystems? When we say psychosystem, it basically means investigation into the mind and body. Who does it? There are psychotherapists who carry out these investigations of the mind and the body. Okay, what is the relationship? What will be the behavior? And they consult the clinical psychologists who together decide, okay, these are the psychosystems of this person and how they are working. Okay, so that's a very deep study. So that's a very deep definition of personality. But the first definition which I gave you, that is good enough at your level, the sum total of the overt and the covert qualities, right? So please remember this. This is very, very important. Okay. Now we'll see the next one, command over language. Command over language. Now, you see, I told you, for the first impact or the first impression that you make to anyone whom to you speak, whether in an interview or whether you are being, you know, in front of somebody for some job interview or your anything else, the first impression which you make is your command over your language. Yesterday we saw, you asked, Sinidhya asked a lot of questions. If somebody's this thing is weak, he shifts over to Hindi and all, what happens? So now you will be able to understand command over the language. Basically, we mean that a person should be, you know, when you speak, firstly, your pronunciation, your knowledge about the subject. Yeah, see, English is a very, very simple subject to study, to learn. We have to know a little bit of grammar. We have to know the pronunciation. Okay. We have to be, you know, more we read in Punjab and in India, what is the problem with the youth is that we do not read. Okay. We are not reading the newspapers. We are not reading the books. We are not trying to improve our vocabulary. So we are not speaking to each other in English. So what happens? Your spontaneity, your eloquence, that means your forceful use of the language is not there. So what happens? You saw one word, you never saw the meaning in the dictionary or the Merriam. So what happens? You have got a very vague idea about that word and the meaning. So when you use it in your usage, you are going wrong, right? So what happens during interviews? You meant something, but the meaning something else came out, right? and the person comes to know that he doesn't have that much command over language. That means your verbal expression and your written expression both have to be very good, and you got to impress the person with an impact. Okay, so that impact will come if you, all of you, the first thing which I advise you is, please read the newspapers, please read the magazines, talk to each other in English, learn new words, put them into usage, put them into usage and in your conversation, so that while you are in an interview, you don't grope for words. Okay, you will be absolutely spontaneous, you will be smooth, you will be seamless, and thought process will come automatically, right? So please remember, the command over language, to my mind, is very, very important. Very, very important. Next is the knowledge. Now you will bear me out. You know, when you have studied for your examinations, you did your revision 3 times, 4 times, you are full of knowledge and you say, let any question come, I'll sort it out. So that means what happens when we have knowledge, our confidence multiplies. Okay, it is the confidence. You see, when I go for any interview, it is the confidence which will carry me through. So what happens? My knowledge has to be very good. And for getting that knowledge, what I have to do? I have to keep abreast with general awareness, general knowledge, and day-to-day technological advancements. I should know what is happening in the country. If I'm doing BTech, there's no good that I see only my books. I should know what is happening in artificial intelligence latest and how it is being utilized. Or I should go ahead with things so that I do not, the pace of the technology is very, very fast. And if we do not keep pace with technology or with the happenings of the world, we will be left behind and our book knowledge will just remain bookish, right? So please remember, your knowledge will take you through with great confidence. And you must have knowledge. Knowledge is very, very powerful, very, very powerful too. Okay, next we talk about is the competence. Okay, now I'm giving all these extra and I will also dwell upon later on as to how to sharpen them. Okay, now we are talking about competence. Okay, kabilta, kitni kabil ho tum log, right? So here the most important thing is professional competence. If I have done BTech in telecom, I should be able to know everything about networking, right? Or I should be, it's better to be a tech savvy chap. And I will say that you should be a high tech in one field, catch one field. Okay, whether it is fiber optics, whether it is networking or routing or putting LANs, so you have to, now the time has come that you all rounder will not help you much. You have to be tech savvy and you have to be in one field, you have to be high tech. You should be high tech in it, whether it is microwave, whether it is optical fiber cables, whether it is networking. So you have to do it, or whether it is mobile technology, right? So the point is, competence is very important. And what do these firms want? Yesterday talked about placements, right? Why they are not placing you, or why a chap with 98% not picked up at times? Because it is not the percentage or the how he has done all through, but it is how he is applying himself, whether he'll be useful to me. So that means your competence has to be related with your profession, right? If you're aspiring for the armed forces, needless to say, you have to be physically very strong. You can't be weak. Okay, your stress tolerance should be very high. So likewise, for every type of job, we have every type of activity, right? So competence, to my mind, is very, very important. It is another factor which will put you through, right? Okay, next we come to now communication skills. Actually, communication skills is a very big, you can say, canvas. And this canvas actually covers most of the soft skills. Okay, now let us understand firstly what is communication skills. Now, communication skills basically is your ability, okay, to share ideas, thoughts, or feelings effectively to express the intended meaning. Sometimes what happens, we mean something, like I told you, मैंने word लिखा but मतलब कुछ और निकल आया. So intended meaning is wrong. So if I can convey to my interviewee or interviewer the what I want to convey, then my communication is good. That means I should be able to do that verbally also, and non-verbal expression both have to be very good to effectively express my intended meaning. Okay, so this is what is communication skills. We write every time that communication skills I want to improve. No, communication skills is a very, very big canvas. Okay, it covers all this. We are coming to it now. It covers, firstly let's take public speaking, debating skills, and lecturates. Let us take this. Now, in any interview or in anything, there are, you see, if you go for SSB, we have a GD, we have lecturates. Okay, and in that you got to discuss a topic, pros and cons of it, right? So how do we sharpen those skills? First thing, we should now get rid of the stage fear. Okay, the stage, you see, all of us don't keep speaking on the to the audience or to 100 people or 50 people, or we are, normally by nature, everyone is little shy to come up on stage. Now, you got to get rid of this. You got to get rid of this habit of the stage fear. So stage fear has to be, it should not be a hindrance to you. It should, you should get over it so that you don't. Next is the subject knowledge. Okay, now, like I told you, knowledge is very important. If you don't have the knowledge of that subject, which you are going to either give in a lecturate or in a group discussion, what will happen? You will, your subject matter is not there, the substance is not there. So if you are speaking, it will go haywire. It will not make any impact because you have gone 180 degrees out of phase or tangent to the requirement, right? So therefore, so that you are in it, you got to have the subject knowledge. So you must choose a subject which, if you have, suppose a debating subject is given to me, then I should be knowing, okay, I should know all the subjects which are currently burning. And therefore, if let that subject come, I'll be able to give 10 points, right? So public speaking, we have to develop. Debating skills, we'll have to develop. While I'll go to the further slides, I will give you the absolute norms and nuances, what is actually required there. But please remember, we got to get rid of the stage fear. We got to have knowledge. We ought to have an eloquent expression. Eloquent expression here means your expression should be forceful, flawless, without any pronunciation mistakes, and you should be able to do it very spontaneously. Okay, and lastly, it must have an impact on the audience. Okay, it must have a solid impact on the audience. Okay, so this is another very important aspect where it will be useful to you in all types of interviews, right? Okay, next we come to stress management. Now, please remember how we'll go into what is stress, but please, what happens in our day-to-day life? Every day we come across so many adverse incidents. There are incidents in the office, there are incidents at home, okay, which cause, which cause little bit of impatience. That impatience, becomes frustration after some time, because sometimes there are undesired, unfulfilled desires are there also. So what happens? Resentment ho gaya. Resentment se kya hoega? Frustration. Frustration ke baad aayega tension, and tension ke baad ho jayega stress. So what is happening now? If we are what we are seeing it is as a cascading effect. एक ने दूसरे को पैदा किया, दूसरे ने तीसरे को पैदा किया. Finally, it has resulted into a stress. Now, in the armed forces or in corporate or in any organization, the stress is a factor which is detrimental to your efficiency. It will reduce our efficiency very much. So that means my stress tolerance should be high. Small things should not be able to put me down, right? So I should have more and more stress tolerance. And how do you develop that? You have to develop it by going through the stress, normal stresses we are going through in day-to-day life. So don't start getting worried and your heartbeat has gone high. Now they say that when you're under stress, your adrenaline goes, is produces body, defense mechanism. Your cortisol start reacting, your heartbeat will go faster. Okay, your brain cells, there is a waxing and waning of the your veins in the mind, in your capillaries in your brain. So when too much of waxing and waning is taking place, kabhi wo khich raha hai, kabhi wo wapas aa raha hai, what will happen? It will finally break. You may die of hemorrhage. It can be very serious. Or as it has affected you, you try to learn something you can't learn because you are under stress, right? So stress is a very, very big detrimental factor. And what we should do, we should overcome by having a strong stress tolerance. Please remember this. This is very, very important, right? Next, we are talking about is time management. Now, you see, time management is another very, very important aspect of life. All of us, make very, very optimistic plans. I will get up at 4 o'clock. I will get ready. Then from 5 to 6, I'll be studying. Then I'll go for a jog, come back. You make a very, very good plan, right? Optimistic plan. But next day, you keep sleeping till 8 o'clock. So that means you are not, see, time management is actually life management. So what happens? It is related to self-discipline. If I am self-disciplined, if I say I have a very strong willpower, okay, I will get up at 4 o'clock, finish all my ablutions by 5. At 5 o'clock, I'll be sitting on my table studying, right? So my willpower is very strong, right? And I have made a will, and I have also made myself disciplined, okay, so that I follow it. And also in time management, you have to lay priorities. Okay, if you have, that means what are the important things in time management? Firstly, anticipating, then forecasting. That means you said, okay, my full syllabus is this, first semester this, second semester this, third semester. So I should study the difficult subjects first, and I'll see that I cover a semester or 2 semesters ahead, right? So you have gone ahead, you have had a foresight to think ahead. You have prioritized, okay, I'm weak in maths, so I will spend at least 2 hours in maths every day, right? So your time management should be what? Realistic, okay? And it should be, with your self-discipline. The core discipline is your self-discipline, okay? If you are self-disciplined, you don't need a danda man or a director to stand on your head to see okay, you are studying or not studying, right? You know you are responsible, and you know that I have to do it. I will get up. So I'm self-disciplined. So what happens with us is most of us are not self-disciplined. That is where we lose. All our time management goes for a 6, and we are not able to cope up with our work. Okay, otherwise God has given us enough time, and we must take a cue from nature. You see, the sun comes up, if it is supposed to come up at 5:30, 5:30 it is out. You see, everything happens as per time, right? So that means the nature has told us, nature has also given us a cue. Please follow time and respect time, right? So keep this in your mind. It is very, very important, and it is a soft skill which will help you a lot. Okay, then we come to another very, very important thing, which is the body language. Okay, now body and language. You see, the body language, we will see the definitions also. You see, a body language is, it reveals a lot of things. Now, in interview, your body language, before you've opened your mouth, your impression has been taken. How? We will see that. So it's an unconscious language. What is body language? It's a very unconscious language. So what does it do? It broadcasts your feelings, intentions, right, of all humans through your manifestations. Now, for example, I ask you a question, and say your face became red. So I know he's become nervous, right? Or you at times you see when a person is asked a question, his lips become dry, throat gets choked. Okay, so these are all signs of nervousness. So what are these manifestations? These manifestations come through what? Body postures. That means the way you walk, the way you stand, the way you sit down. Okay, your body postures are very important. You've seen some people who, when they sit down, their legs and their the toes keep moving, or hands keep moving. They're all signs of nervousness. Okay, then we have the gestures. The gestures means some people have got the habit of moving the hands, moving head too much. Okay, so your gestures also, they convey a lot. Okay, are you trying to overreact? Are you trying to impress somebody? Whatever you are doing. So another very important factor is the gestures. Then we have your facial expressions. Okay, at times somebody tells you something and when you're surprised. Okay, so your facial expression gives out everything, like I told you. Then your eye movements, all these put together are body language. What we must remember, that this is a very extremely powerful tool with the assessor. He is going to assess you. We say that in body language, you see, the communication is only, verbal communication is only 35%, and it is 65% of the non-verbal communication, which I told you. Unconscious non-verbal communication is 65%. You can see the importance of this. And a very practical example of this is, all of us have pets in the house, right? Your dog is a perfect example of a good assessor for body language. He looks into your eyes, you are happy, he comes wagging his tail. And he's eaten up your socks, so you look at him, okay, with a very difficult posture and eyes, and he goes under the bed. He knows you are very angry, you may beat him, right? So see how we have to learn even from others. So the assessors who are sitting there, they are all knowing these norms and nuances, and they know what are the interpretations. Okay, if you are moving your hand too much, or if your lips are getting dried, or if you're becoming nervous, what is your face expression, right? You're not looking at his eyes. You started looking at the sky. You see, you don't even have the guts to look at his eyes. So what happens? He knows he is trying to avoid my questions and he's not interested, right? So please remember, body language, we have to know about body language. Why? So that we find out our own weaknesses and we can correct them. There's a mid-course correction. Before I go for the interview, I must know that, okay, I've got a habit of, say, moving my legs too much or my hands too much. I must control that, right? Or I must look confident. I should not look nervous. I should look natural, right? So please remember how it has to be happening. So I hope all of you will understand that body language is another very, very important factor which is required for all of us. Next, we have something called speed reading. You see, I said, first of all, the problem with us is that we don't read. Sunitya, are you able to hear me? Sunitya?
Sunitya, yes, I am able to hear you.
Okay, right. Yeah. So next we talk about the speed reading. Now I said that most of us are not reading properly. That means all of us must make a habit of reading books, must make a habit of reading newspaper every day. We must talk in English to our colleagues. And we must, I told you, pick up new words every day, use them in my day-to-day language so that I converse very, very spontaneously, right? So now now when you're reading a paper or when you're reading a book, you say, okay, I read a book in 2 days, I'm very fast. Or somebody says, I read a book in 1 month, right? So your speed of reading, there's some tricks about it. We'll cover them. But just remember that when you read, firstly, you should avoid reading loudly. Okay, avoid reading loudly. Okay, and second, pick up maximum words in one fixation. Say I'm looking at, यानी कि I'm not doing word by word. It should be maximum words in one fixation. Okay. And also start using your, we have, all of us have peripheral vision. If something's happening now, Sanidhya knows पीछे से क्या हो रहा है.
Yes, sir.
Because
Yes,
he's
sir.
got a peripheral vision, which is telling him, okay, somebody is asking him something. Okay. So peripheral vision is also very important. So all this happens when you read from top to bottom in a fast fashion. So it's a matter of practice. It's a matter of how you will strengthen this soft skill. This is a skill. It's a skill definitely, because you will be required to do so much of studies, even in the army or in the corporate. They'll give you a book of 400 pages and say, okay, please go through and let me know in half an hour what is it all about. So what will you do? In army, you have to make op orders at night. You have to do a research, and morning the director or your commanding officer or your brigade commander wants it right in the morning at 4 o'clock, right? So you got to work and you got to be quick. You can't say, sir, I couldn't read 4 pages, right? So you got to have a speed reading, and for that you have to toil yourself, work hard, right? And once you do that, your skill will be improved. Okay, next we'll talk about memory techniques. We'll also I'll give you the nuance also in the end. In the memory techniques, please remember, anyone who you will bear me out, has a good memory is a very big asset. I see once, okay, I don't have to see the thing again and again, right? So that means I got a photogenic memory. Ek baar dekh liya, I'll be able to remember. So very few people have this. This is the big asset, like Vivekananda had this. People who are very, very spiritually very high, they are able to do it, or your mental and intellectual faculties are very developed, you can do it, right? But for a normal layman like us, we have to work on our memory techniques. And how do we work on the memory techniques? What we can do is, there are few methods given. One method is called the method of association. That means you try to associate it with something, okay, with some, something which has happened, like, for example, or you link it. The link method or the association method is the same. How do you link it? Now, for example, suppose I tell you that, okay, name all the Great Lakes of North America, 5 Great Lakes of North America. So you may not remember, but how do you remember? Now, one method could be, like I told you, link and association method. You know that, suppose I say I make a link, like I say it is SMHEO. That means SM, I'm an army guy, so I say SM is Subedar Major, H is he, and O he is 0. I make a very funny type of, association. So what are the lakes? S is for Lake Superior, M is for Lake Michigan, H is for Lake Huron, E is for Lake Erie, and O is for Lake Ontario. So I have made a link. All of you understand? So you, whenever we say, or you can make it on the name of some actor, you can take it on the name of some actress, where whatever you feel, whatever weird imagination you may get, you can do it. So you go to link that link, you will straight away remember that I made that link. So you will be able to reproduce. Suppose there are 10 points, you'll be able to produce these 10 points. So you have to inculcate yourself and practice on this, so your memory improves. It's a very, very important thing, right? Okay. Now, memory. After this, I'll go to the next slide, which is a transition stage for all of you. Now, of course, I've just mentioned some other soft skills also. Intellectual skills, I told you, you must practice your test of reasoning every day. Okay. And your mind has to be sharp. Try to do puzzles, try to do test of reasoning, and as it is, most of you are BTech students. So you are, as it is, doing a lot of mathematics, statistics, dynamics, right? So do a lot of calculations. To my mind, everyone should be able to know all the tables up till 20 by heart. It will help you a lot. Okay, you should, once you practice your test of reasoning every day, your intelligence tests, you should be able to sort out small problems and find solutions quickly. Okay, so that you're intellectually, you are not behind anyone, right? Please improve your intellectual skills. Then we talked about interpersonal skills yesterday. Basically what it means is your interrelation with your peers and colleagues, your seniors and your juniors. You see how you interact with them, how you mix up with them, okay, how you talk to them is all very important. Okay, like some people, they are very subservient to their seniors. Yes sir, yes sir. But when they go to their juniors, they say, "Ah, do thappad lagaओ." ठीक है? So you have to be stable, and with whatever is your interpersonal relations, they must have a parity. They should not, fluctuate. You're a different person altogether when you are in front of the director or a senior, and you're a different person in front of a junior. So that should not happen, right? Then social skills, we have told you how you behave in a society. All of us have got sanskars. Our parents, our teachers, our institutions, wherever you are studied, they have taught us so many things. The army is an institution by itself. Like he was telling yesterday, they have taught us so many things. They have taught us the etiquette, manners, all these things are put together, are coming into the social skills. Please remember, our social skills also have to be good. I can't be a hooligan in front of others. I cannot start misbehaving in somebody's house. Okay, I should know that if I'm going to somebody, how I should behave. And if I'm going as a guest, I should help them out, and don't be a burden, don't be a pest on them. So you see, all these social things, whether we are with our relatives, whether we are with our friends, we should know how we have to behave, right? Then we have the leadership skills, right? Now, leadership skills are also very, very important, right? First of all, in the army, these skills will develop. You will be developing. In the civil stream also, moment you are a manager, deputy manager, your skills will improve. Now, what it actually means? It is, when you talk about leadership basically it is the art of influencing, directing, and how you obtain your work willingly from others. You see, the person जिससे तुमने काम लेना है, you should have his confidence. He should respect you. Okay, and he should cooperate with you. So if I am a good leader, they will automatically have a will to work. I can, move things. I can move things. So what are the skills required here? Firstly, I have to lead by personal example. If I'm telling them that you should, all of you must, run 3.4 kilometers in 2 minutes, then I should be also able to do it faster than them. Okay, so I have to give my personal example. Okay, or if I'm going on war and I'm their leader, I'll say, okay, I'm going to lead you. Let the first bullet hit me. It will not hit you, but we have to take the objective. Okay, so I am leading by I lead them and I give my personal example to them. Okay, so this should be there, and I must have that willpower. I must have that bearing, self-control, commitment. Yes, that I'm going to do it. So leadership skills, you will be noticing, are very important. But at your stage, you all are still in the colleges. You are trying to carve out a career for yourself. So these things will come on later, but important, very important. Then we have team bonding skills. Okay, needless to say, you see, when you are in a team, okay, you learn so much. There's a spirit, there's a team spirit. You got to contribute, okay, towards your team so that the team wins everywhere. Whether you are in a syndicate, you are doing a project, whatever you are doing. So it's a teamwork, right? So your endeavor should be to contribute maximum in that team and learn from the bonding. The stronger the bonding, the better, because that the same person is going to, you make a strong bond with him, he'll be helpful to you throughout his life. He'll remember that we did a project together, and that time Sinidhya did everything and he taught me this, right? So he'll understand. So this will continue as a lifelong. Or if you have been in AFPI, those bonds will never go. Those bonds are for life, right? So please remember, team bonding skills are very important. Decision-making skills. Now here I like to emphasize on 2 points. One is, at times taking decisions is difficult, but decisions delayed should not be over delayed. Okay, the decision taken should be mature. It should not be impulsive. Suddenly you decide, okay, let me jump the wall and I'm going to have pizzas also. But if you're caught, you will be marched up to the director and you will be thrown out from the institution. Okay, so your decision is wrong. So here it's not a mature decision, right? So whether it is this or whether it is, major decisions are taken at the government level, corporate level, decisions which involve a lot of financial implications. Then in the army, we have, each decision. Suppose, should I attack from the northern front or the eastern front? Suppose I attack from the northern and the enemy comes from the eastern front, then what happens? I'll be massacred, right? So lot of decisions have to be taken, but all decisions taken should be with lot of foresight, with lot of thinking, deliberation. Then only your decisions are going to be of value. But decision making, another very important factor. Okay, then we have the attitude. He told you about attitude yesterday. I'll not expand too much on it. Of course, and the etiquette and manners which have to be followed. Okay. Another thing here I want to emphasize on is aptitude. It is not here. Aptitude. Now what happens? Most of us who are now, you may be doing BTech, you may be doing MTech in computers. I'm giving an example. Maybe that your interest is towards Bollywood, or maybe your interest is towards photography, or your interest is somewhere else, maybe in fashion designing. So what happens at times, what we do, we go to a counselor and say, "Ke bhai, mere ko ye batao." Or simple example, when you are in your 11th and 12th, you go to a counselor and say, "Ke I want to know whether I should take maths or whether I should take arts." And you yourself is the best judge. You know yourself that you are weak in maths. Why should you go in for the your science group? Why should you take it, right? So that means you know yourself that you are weak in maths. That means your aptitude, you should follow what you are good at. If you follow your aptitude correctly, you will never make a mistake, right? That means your choosing of your career will be correct. Otherwise, you may go for a wrong choice. And if you go in for a wrong choice, then throughout your life, you're going to suffer. So aptitude is another factor which is very, very important. Okay. Now here, I hope this you are able to see the screen. I had already given you the definitions of personality. You can just have a look. So defined as the dynamic organization within an individual of the psychosystems that I explained you, determining unique adjustment to environment. And the simple definition, personality encompasses the sum total of your overt and your covert qualities, behavior, traits, and temperament, and various psychological aspects in any person or individual. So please remember this, very, very important. Now, I had talked about the group discussion, debating and skills and lecturates. So what does it involve? It involves discussion on an issue using persuasion to convince the audience of the pros and cons, right? Innovative approach, think out of the box. Now you want to win a GD or a debate, then you have to think out of the box, right? Unconventional thinking, focus and harness on the available tools, be alert, okay, for your counter contingency or rebuttal. For rebuttal, you have to be very, very alert what the opponent has said and what you want to do. So critically analyze and judge true value of the opponent statements and exploit his weakness if you want to really impress in a GD. Now this GD is there when you go for SSB, there will be GD. They in certain interviews in civil services also there are GDs, right? Debating is very common, it has to come. So please remember, and lecturate, so you will have to give. So in lecturate, you have to remember there is no stage fear. Your subject matter is very clear and you know about what you're talking about, and stay to the objective what you want to say. Okay, so we have seen this. Stress management, already told you, state of mental or emotional tension resulting from an adverse situation, contingency or circumstance. Okay. Then stress management refers to a deep retrospective study of self. Okay. Attitude, temperament, I have told you, and how to build up your stress tolerance. I've already told you. So it includes wide specifications of psycho. There are lot of psychotherapies which those people who are chronic under stress, they have to undergo these psychotherapies, because then they cannot be improved by just sharpening your skills. Okay, it will yourself. Some people are stress prone. It will not go. They'll have to undergo some psychotherapy. That is a serious, you can say, stage of stress, right? Next, we have also talked about time management. I told you, anticipating, forecasting, staffing, and controlling activity, right? You have to, I said, core discipline is your self-discipline. And time management is called actually life management, right? It's regulated routine lifestyle. Must do that. Plan ahead and prioritize. Body language we have covered in detail. I will not stress more on it. Speed reading, here I told you, read maximum words in one fixation, develop your vocabulary, focus and comprehend what you read, and read from top to bottom. Use peripheral vision and read ideas, not just words. You know, okay, what is the main idea behind the complete page, right? So you'll be able to go much faster. Okay, this also we have seen, link method, remembering a sequence, you know, picturize in your mind. There are people who picturize, they can picturize very well. So use it if you're very good at picturizing, right? Then some people use the journey method also. Okay, how did I go? I went from here to Balachor to, you know, Hoshiarpur, and then you know, and then you say, okay, in this came. So this journey method is also there. So whatever method your mind says, do it. Okay. Now all of us are in a transition stage. We from school came to college. Now from adolescent stage you are going to adulthood. Now earlier you were being under supervision all through. Today you are independent. That means more responsibility on you. You have to be very responsible with yourself. So from being carefully and childish, you have to be responsible. Being protected to facing to life boldly. Now you have to face life boldly. I always tell everybody in life, please face and fight your own battles. For a very small thing, don't go running or rushing to your parents or to your headmaster or okay, this is what has happened. You sort out the problem yourself. Only if you cannot sort out the problem, you have to fight your own battle. If you cannot fight it, only then you will report. But you do not normally that you keep running here and there. From being dependent to fighting your own. Okay. So battles and taking nature are correct decisions. Okay, you must take your decisions correctly. Now, all of you know that what are your career opportunities. You can, I told you, either go to armed forces, central armed police services also there. Either you go to civil services or state services, public sector, corporate, MNCs. Most of you are doing engineering. So you'll definitely be picked up by some famous firms like Infosys, HCL and others. Then some of you are doing chartered accountants. That's also another very good field. Medics, entrepreneurs. Now, when I talk about games and adventures, I'll be showing you, I personally feel that whether you want to join the armed forces or not, you must take interest in adventure activities, because that is the spice of life. That is the actual, because you will improve you'll be able to take risks also. You will improve your guts and grit. That is very important. I'll show you some adventure sports which are taken in the army, and you'll be surprised that when you see these are available free of cost in the armed forces. And if you are interested, that will help you. Then law, merchant navy, fashion designing, vocational, diplomas, other things. Okay, journalism, politics. People are doing IELTS for going abroad. Okay, most of you want to run away to Canada. So I feel, please don't take shortcuts, right? Going to Canada or going to Australia, there are shortcuts because we cannot face the competition in our own country. So have that will to challenge your own. Okay, I will do it. I will become a CEO here only, right? And I will show them that I'm the best, right? By the way, going to Australia or going to Canada, what are the people doing there? Either they are in the stores as storekeepers, or they are truck drivers, or they are taxi drivers. I'm not discouraging you, but it is your own country. So let's live in our own country and let's learn the amount of freedom, the amount of respect you are getting in your own country is not there in other countries. Okay, they are very lucrative, but they are not. I'll not say that one should plan like this unless you feel very strongly, then it's up to you. But there are so many avenues open to you here in India. Please make use of it. And all of you are studying in such good universities, okay, and doing so well in your BTechs, MTechs. You will be picked up by the firms, by the important organizations and corporates. Why not? You will be. Who else? It is out of you only who will be picked up. It is out of you who will become officers tomorrow and go to the level of the generals, right? So that's not difficult at all. You only got to have a willpower. Okay. So of course, all of you are aware of the national level competition exams. Now I'll give you the glimpses of the adventure sports. Now, I want to tell you here something very important. In the army, we have got an adventure cell. Okay, this adventure cell, it is for the defense services actually. And say you want to do skydiving, say you're keen for skydiving, you give your name to the adventure cell, recommended by your commanding officer, and you will be sent, you will be given time, and you will be given some training, and then you go for skydiving free of cost. Similarly, those who want to go for hang gliding or micro light flying, we have a node at MAU. Incidentally, I was in charge for that node, which is the flying node at MAU. And in this node, we give them fixed wing training and also micro light flying. That means your powered hang gliders, right? So all this is available free of cost. We give them a simulator test, and once they get through, we put them through the test for 3 months. And then if you are good, you are called here as instructor. That's great. So you can have 2 years as instructor and enjoy flying, right? इसी तरह से in Bhopal, we have made a node of hot air ballooning. That is also there. White River rafting node is also there. Mountaineering and trekking. Now, these two terms are also, I find some of you are a little confused. In trekking, basically what happens, it's an adventure activity undertaken in a mountainous or a semi-mountainous terrain. And what happens, we cover a distance of 30, 40, 80, 120 kilometers. The difference is that we are self-contained. That means for our rations and for our living, we carry bivouacs at our back. We open our bivouac, only you can get into it. And next morning, you pick it up, put it on your rucksack and move, right? We are moving through continuous map reading. That means prismatic compass, service protector, and bound to bound, right? In mountaineering, it's a different ball game. Got to take training, and then only you can do, whether you're doing traversing, whether you're doing rappelling, or whether you're doing rock climbing. All that is taught, how to face avalanches, how to face snowstorms and things. Okay, so these are another very interesting. All these are available in the armed forces. I'll just show you. Now this is hot air ballooning. This is a node is there at Bhopal. Now this is parasailing. In parasailing, either it is done, a jeep will, this man is about to take off. The jeep is going to pull him up. It can be done in water also, where a steamboat or a boat, high-speed motorboat, picks you up, takes you in the sky, then he releases, and later on he can maneuver and come down, right? This is White River rafting. You have seen, most of you who have gone this side, Hardwar and beyond, you'll be able to see how the river rafting takes place, or in Manali. Now this is yachting. There's another very interesting, where you got to know how the sails and the wind effect comes, and it overturns very fast, but nothing to worry. Again, you upright it and you can sit again. So another very, very interesting and very important adventure activity. This is the Army node at Mau, microlight flying. This is my photograph where I was getting ready for the flight. This is a fixed wing Savannah aircraft, Italian aircraft. Okay, we teach them first on the simulator, and then if they are good, we send them for a sortie. Now this is skydiving has taken place, and this is a signals team which has taken. Now they are coming down, and they're not yet opened their parachutes as yet. Now after they have opened their parachutes, now this is a powered hang glider shown here. At the back there is a engine here. The speed is 200 kilometers per hour. Okay, and you got to be very careful while taking off and landing. It is made of the cloth. Now there's another aircraft which has got an engine on the top. This is called X-Air. Okay, this is another aircraft which we had. It is, if you notice, it is all cloth. It's made of cloth only. Okay. Now this is slithering, where a person is coming down from the helicopter. This is called slithering. We have a Army marksman unit at Mau. This unit was made to encourage our officers, Jawans, and others, even our own civilians who go for Olympics, they are trained here at Army Marksman Unit Mau. This is of the Olympic standard. It's a beautiful, it's worth seeing. And anyone who is good at it can try his hand to go to Olympics. Okay. It includes everything, skeet shooting, double skeet shooting, everything. Okay. Here I just made a little comparison where, you know, the armed forces and the civil corporate, I've tried to compare it. The choice is yours entirely. Okay, in the armed forces, there's a pride in uniform, glory and glamour. Okay, and to be in a noble profession to serve your country. Okay, its status and quality of life is there. Army provides you one of the best qualities of life. That means it's a balanced life altogether. Okay, it's a balanced way of life. Your assignments can be to foreign countries, and it's an invigorating social life. Whereas in civil, you will be, you know, you can go as doctors, engineers, scientists, business people, or engineers. Standard of living will depend on the job you tenant. Okay, mostly the perks which are offered are very high also, but there is no stability. Okay, if you're not found, if you do not produce results, you will be shunted out. Okay, whereas in the armed forces, it's a president's commission, nobody can throw you out. Unless you fail in all your promotion examinations.
Yeah.
Only then will you be thrown out. Otherwise, then the president will not feel very happy about it. Okay, otherwise the president doesn't say anything to anyone. It gives you the commission. Okay, in civil, if you don't produce the goods, your boss will fire you and sack you. Right? There are no two ways. And social life is restricted. You may be sitting on a desk throughout the day. Whereas in the army, you will play games, you will do everything. Okay, there's a evening social gatherings and other things. You keep moving every 2 years to new places, right? Transfer to various stations, numerous facilities, okay, and amenities. As you all know, we have the concessional, the CSD, canteen stores department to get things. Your medical is free throughout your life, not only for you, for your parents also. Each army officer is insured for 60 to 80 lakhs if he dies in harness. If even when he retires, he still gets about 6 to 8 lakhs if something happens to him. No other organization will give you so much of coverage. In civil, even if you have to take a policy, you know how much you have to pay. It's very difficult. Okay, so intake, balanced personality, what we don't want very high achievers, 90% to maang hi nahi rahe. We want a balanced staff. He may be 60%, 50%. High academic percentage, no bar. Not difficult to make the grade, easy entry for mediocres. Ethos, ethics, and culture are of very high value. Okay, in civil, you are based on metros, facilitates payment, no consistencies there. Okay, you may be in HCL today, tomorrow you will join Infosys. So there's nothing known. High performers are required. If you're not a high performer, you may not be picked up. Okay, so all these things are there. Please keep it in mind. So in army, there is now what we call career progression. If you don't even make it for a colonel or a brigadier, your pay will keep rising. Your pay will not stop there as a colonel's pay. You will keep on getting your increments. Okay, and that is a very good thing. So the career progression is there. Fair play. There is on super session there is no such downgrading. All this is there. Whereas in civil, career progression and performance are the main things. If you don't perform, you go. You can be retrenched. Pay is based on your performance only, and performance appraisal. No security of the job, no pension benefits. Here you are getting pensions. You'll be surprised that a brigadier gets a pension of 1.5 lakhs even after retirement. And while you are serving, a colonel is getting almost 2,40,000. This is the pay the army is giving. Okay, so all of those who are not knowing, they must know what are the benefits which the army gives you, right? So no pension in civil, prevalent scenario, corruption cannot be ruled out. Here corruption, and you are free from all these nepotisms. You do your work 100%, you'll get your due, right? Provided you don't take panga. Okay, should not take pangas. Okay. So now I'm giving you some, all of you can see this, mantras for a successful life and career.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you read till the end?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, I've finally coming to the last slide. What I've done, I have made out some mantras for you, which I want all of you to go through, and please, you have to act on it. Okay. And I assure you that this lecture today will definitely put you in a better stead, and you will do very well in life and choose a beautiful career for yourself if you follow this. Now, what are these? First of all, endeavor to improve your personality and hone up your skills. That means sharpen your skills. Okay? We have already seen those skills. Think logically, act rationally, show substance and reason. Right? Inculcate strong values. Sanskar on discipline. I told you self-discipline is a core thing which you have to inculcate. I have got my self-discipline, right? Obey orders and instructions. At times we tend to violate the orders and instructions. Please don't ever do that. Okay. Beware of falling prey to susceptibility to distractions. Somebody says, let's try this drug, and you try a drug and you fall into it. You fall in the trap. So don't ever be susceptible to distractions and focus on your objective. Refrain from bad elements, bad company and politics. Please don't be in it. Okay, do not fall prey to vices like smoking, drinking, drugs, etc. At your stage, there is no chance. You should not even go near it, because these are the things which distract you and which will definitely lower your efficiency and may even spoil you. Exhibit high ethical and moral standards and values, right? So your parents, your teachers, your schooling, they have taught you so many good sanskars. Please use it. And you are not like others. You have to be much better than them. Okay. Then importance of academics. Choose your academic stream judiciously, keeping in mind your aptitude. Okay. So when you choose your stream, you have to be very careful about that. Later on also, say you want to specialize, you want to become a high tech in one of the fields, choose that field correctly, because you should be good in that field, right? Endeavor to achieve high standards in academics, build strong basics and fundamentals. I've always been harping on this. Jiska basics fundamental acha hai, it's like, you are doing differential and integral. If your basics are good, your differential will be good. If your differential is good, your integral will be good. Otherwise, integral to gaya, right? So this is generally what happens. Apply principles of learning, be practical in real life, right? Okay. Ensure precise time management, set your goals you want to achieve and focus on and plan ahead. And we must prioritize. Work evenly throughout the year, cover the entire syllabus, Never resort to selective study. Okay, work diligently with utmost dedication and sincerity. You see, it's very good to be sincere in life. If you are sincere, hardworking, your interviewer will just catch you. Yes, he is the right person for my organization. He will work so hard. So he will work hard and he will do smart work and hard work both. So keep abreast of the latest technological developments, improve GK, general awareness, confidence, efficiency to perform. Learn to proficiently play at least one team game and one individual game. This is my personal request to you. See, it's very good to be academically very good, but we must share. You must endeavor to play at least one team game, whether you play hockey, football, volleyball. One team game, it teaches us a lot. And one individual game. Try your hand at tennis. Try your hand at squash. Try your hand, at maybe badminton for all or table tennis also. So any one individual game you must inculcate. Okay, this will help you a lot in life. It will give you a variety. It will not, it will kill monotony also. Otherwise, monotony, everything is monotony. Keep on studying throughout the day. It's not that. I told you your mind should be also there on the adventure activities and some games. Okay, you must play games and you must inculcate these games. Okay. So tone up your communication skills. I've already spoken enough on it. Apply principles of inverse proportionality. Now, what does it mean? That means suppose you work very hard now, you will get your fruits, you'll enjoy the future. Some people want to enjoy now. Then you keep toiling throughout your life. So this is called the principle of inverse proportionality. अभी मेहनत कर लो, फिर ऐश ही ऐश है. अगर अभी ऐश करोगे तो पूरा जिंदगी भर आप you will keep on struggling, toiling. Okay, so which is better? You know for yourself. Okay, and last is introspection and self-appraisal. Every day at night, please carry out your introspection. Okay, what am I? What have I done? Carry out a continuous SWOT analysis. Okay, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats must be known to you. Do not ignore weak and gray areas. Usko improve karna hi karna hai. And when you are reading also, keep this in mind, scan, read, record, review questions and techniques. So all this will help you in becoming a better person, right? Once you improve your personality, you will become a balanced personality with all your skills sharpened, and you go for anything. You say, okay, let it come. I am the one who's going to get. So it will give you a lot of confidence. With this, I have finished with my lecture. Any questions we will take on now.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an informative webinar. The presentation was really good, and like it was for me, especially for me personally, it was all brushing up all the things from AFPI, and I personally believe that our audience have fruitfully gained a lot of information about personality development, about Indian Army, and about all the other professions that you talk. It was a great pleasure to have you us with this evening. So we have like a lot of questions for you. First of all, we have some questions from an alumni of Sainik School. So he want to ask from you that as you were like my personal mentor for Officers Intelligent Rating, OIR, like it is good for 1 or 2. Sir, at the time of SSB, what are the what is the significance of OIR, and how are candidates with high OIR are interviewed by the interviewing officer in comparison to the candidates with low OIR? So is it like any significance for our SSB interview?
Okay, I'll explain this. You see, the intelligence which you're talking about of OIR, Officer Intelligence Rating, this has been, it is an indicator of your intellectual ability. Okay, if you have seen those 15 officer-like qualities, the first quality, which is a star quality, that means very important, is your effective intelligence. So effective intelligence basically, what is the indicator to the effective intelligence? The OIR. That is one indicator. Then what are other indicators? Other indicators are that suppose I give you any problem, how quickly you can grasp or understand that problem, and how quickly can you get to a solution. Okay. So your importance of OIR, what is OIR showing you? OIR is an indicator, giving an indication to the effective intelligence, which is a very important quality of your officer-like qualities. So we straight away gauge a person. If a person's effective intelligence is low, he will never become an officer. Then it is, he's not fit to become an officer. He's below the threshold level. That's why we say OIR 5, that means 40% and below, which you get in your intelligence tests. That means test of reasoning, verbal, non-verbal. अगर तुम्हारा दोनों में मिला के you are lower than 50%, then you are actually to be removed or to be weeded out because you are not fit for your effective intelligence. I hope I made myself clear on this.
Yes, sir. It's absolutely clear. Sir, we have one more question. As you know that during our SSB, in our GTO kind of activities, we have group planning exercise, right? So some people like many of us, like they are weak in group planning exercise. Some people don't get ideas and some people have ideas, but they are not able to express themselves. So what is the how to improve our GPE, group planning exercise?
Okay. This is for everybody. Group planning exercise, what happens? Basically, we paint a small little tactical situation, right? It could be, say, for example, that there is okay, first I'll explain you what it is. In a group planning exercise, what are we required to do? We are supposed to study the situation, whatever is given to us, number one. After we have studied the situation, you have to underline and write down what are the tasks involved, right? Say there are 8 or 10 tasks involved. I will write all the tasks. Next, what I'll do, I will prioritize. Which is the first important task, second task, third task, fourth task. I'll put them as per priority. Third thing which I'll do is, I will allocate resources to them. Resources means, suppose there are 20 people. Now the first action is, say, evacuation of casualties. I'll say 1 plus 4 will be responsible by name. I'll give for evacuation of casualties. Say second is, say I have to inform police and hospitals. So I require only one chap for that, maybe. Third, I may require additional help from the village for picking up the dead bodies. Maybe there is an accident, train accident, whatever, right? So this is called allocation of resources. Once allocate, third thing I've said, allocations. Fourth is timing. I have to say at what time I have to do what. So once I take care of these 4 aspects, my group planning exercise is over. There's nothing more to it. It is very simple. And if you want to me to correlate with a real example, I can do that. A real example can be, like say a train is going. There was a fish plate removed and 3 bogies fell down. 30 people are dead. 25 or you can say 60 are injured. And you are an NCC group of 30 boys. What will you do? Now this is a picture painted, right? So now as a commander of the NCC or the senior under officer, what do you do? So how will you organize? So सबसे पहले task लिख लो क्या क्या है, फिर उसके priorities, फिर उसके resources, फिर timings. I may like to take help of the village. I'll call the sarpanch. Give me all the able-bodied men to help me. Give me 30 men. I may take 30 more. So I will improve my resources, right? And then I put the timing. So group planning exercise is so simple. So please remember these 4 things: tasks, priorities, resources, right? Once you have done that, then your timings and your group planning exercise is over.
Sir, thank you so much. And sir, as you were head psychologist in Allahabad as well as in Bhopal, so you know that there is a word association test for us in the psych test. So some like defense aspirants wants to know at what kind of sentences we need to write in WATs.
Okay, please understand, in WAT we tell you that please write down the first thought or idea that comes to your mind in the form of a sentence. You may or may not use the word as such. in case the meaning of the word is inherent into the sentence, it will do. We tell you this. Now, what are you supposed to do? Let us say, first of all, what you are not supposed to. What you should avoid. You should avoid factual sentences. Like say, word came president. You say Ramnath Kovind is the president of India. So it becomes a factual. Or grass is green, sky is blue. Okay, all this is, or it shows what low deliberation. So why we are saying it is not required? Because it is showing low deliberation on my part, right? So factuals are not desired. Next is your proverbs and cliches are not required. What are these? Cliches are what? Proverbs. Suppose a word came failure. I said failures are pillars to success. Very good sentence, but it has got zero value. Why? Because I have copied it from somewhere. It's a proverb. So cliches are not. Had I said, now we'll say, had I said, failures teach us lessons learned. Failures give us strength to work harder, right? So that is something coming from me, creative from me. So what do we require? Something creative, which is coming out intellectually from me. That is what is required. So cliches are not required. This is called observational response, where I told you just now that agar failure aata hai, I would have written failures encourage us to work even harder, or failures teach us lessons learned, right? So these are something observational coming creative from me. That is what is required. Next thing, what is not required is personal responses. I, you, he, we are not required. Okay, they've got, these are personal. This shows egoism, that you're a egoistic person, and you are not. That's why we don't use these such words, right? Then we don't use injunctions. ये करना चाहिए, ये नहीं करना चाहिए. It's a preaching type of sentences. We don't use. So you've understood now. What we are looking for is something creative coming out from you, which has got intellectual value.
Yes, sir.
Now, for example, say word came water. You say, pass me a glass of water. It has got zero value, low deliberation. Okay, whereas you written, water is the essence of life. That conveys a meaning, right? That conveys a meaning intellectually now. So what, even minor words which come, you have to show as if it is coming out intellectually from you with some meaning, right? Should not be meaningless.
So one more question, as you have been a personal mentor in AFPI, and you have always told us that in defense forces, you need to be emotionally strong. Emotionally, you need to be very much strong. So now girls are also inducted in ND and all and these kind of things, academies. So there's one question from Chandigarh University, from a student of Chandigarh University, that how to become emotionally strong if you are not good in this kind of thing, if you're willing to go in defense forces or in Indian Army.
Dekho, how to become emotionally strong? There are 2-3 things. Firstly, one should not be emotional, one should not be sensitive, one should not be sentimental. So you have to control yourself firstly in these 3 things. Like for example, say somebody's asked about a question about his father and his father is no more, he starts crying. That is not desired. You see, so you have to be strong. Who will do it? You will become yourself strong. Okay, I have to control myself. Okay, so your stress tolerance has to be high. And who is going to make it? You yourself is going to make your stress tolerance stronger. Okay, so in the army, anyone who's having low stress tolerance, that means he's emotional, sentimental, sensitive, we will not take him. Generally, we will avoid taking him, because agar suppose no, say for example, you come to my office, I am the commanding officer, you did not attend the morning parade, and I say you are an idiot, and I give you back left and right, and you go back and you cry in your cabin and you say कि मैं तो useless हूँ, so you have wasted 5 hours thinking that you are useless, and you are not doing anything more constructive, but your mind is working on that only, that the director called me and he bullshitted me throughout the day. So what has happened? Your efficiency has gone down. That is the reason why we do not advocate to take any person who's got low stress tolerance.
All right, sir. I suppose that's all for a day. We have some like other questions, but I suppose your SSB notes during preparation that I have made, it would help the other audience to solve their all doubts. And I would request all the audience who have SSB related questions, they can mail me or they can WhatsApp me. We'll have a connection with Brigadier KD again. And we are already going short of time because we have another event lined up of YEF only now from 6:40. So Brigadier sir, thank you very much for giving your precious time for this event and becoming an inseparable and imperative part of this event. You have given such an informative talk on this webinar on personality development, and I hope we have learned a lot from you. And thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanidhya. I am very proud of you that being my ex-student of AFPI, you have doing such an excellent work, and I'm really proud of you. Please carry on the good work, and I wish you a very bright career ahead.
Thank you so much, sir.
And not only you, all the budding youngsters